You're listening to the Outer Banks This Week podcast, a place for people to hear what's going on up and down the beach and to get the truth about what really goes on around the Outer Banks. So, are you ready? Here we go.
All right. Thank you so much, Wes. Outer Banks This Week podcast, episode number 78. All brought to you by Kelly's Automotive in Manio. Yes, online at kellysobxauto.com. Whether you're in the market for a car, an SUV, a truck, a shed, Kelly can facilitate. Again, he's online at kellysobxauto.com. Oh, gosh, y'all. Again, episode number 78. It is almost back to school time around here. Yay! All the little jerks get to go back to school. I can't wait. I'll tell you, I am a very scheduled person. I feel like I need to have a schedule. I got to schedule my days. Everything has to be scheduled in its place, in its time, everything. And without school, that schedule disappears. I can tell you this because as I'm recording this podcast today, my son is sitting in the other room playing his Nintendo Switch. Okay. This time next week, he will be in school, and it will be glorious. So I cannot wait for the kids to go back to school. Oh, gosh. You know, we've had some really beautiful weather here lately. We did have some swell from Ernesto come through, and it caused a house in Rodanthe to fall into the ocean. Yes, I feel like I heard a statistic the other day, something along the lines of 7 houses since like 2020 have fallen into the ocean down on Hatteras Island, or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but it was some number of that over the last like 4 years. So it is crazy, but you build your house upon the sand, it is a chance you take. Okay. It should be noted that you build your house upon the sand, there's a chance that the ocean will get it. Just throwing that out there. But those of you that have built your houses upon the sand and have done very well, kudos to you, because without you having had those houses built, we would not have the lovely vacationers that we have every year. So thank you for being willing to take the risk to build your house upon the sand. Oh my gosh, yes, but the weather has been beautiful. We have been very blessed in that regard for the month of August. There's been some hot days, yeah, but here lately, the last few weeks have been absolutely gorgeous. Temperatures have been really nice. Can't complain about much. Sunshine, maybe a few little rain showers here and there, but nothing that's just completely tearing us down, anything like that, where we can't go outside for long periods of time. Like it's been great weather. Hey, you know what I'm really excited about? I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time right now. Do have a few things to go over, but Chef Wes Stepp from Red Sky Cafe in NC Coast up in Duck on the podcast with me. What a fun time I had spending time with him doing the podcast. Super nice guy, super personable, super friendly, and we're going to get to him in just a little bit. But news, again, not a news podcast. You go to SamWalkerOBXNews.com. He can tell you more about the house that fell in the water down in Rodanthe. You have questions about the news, Sam Walker is the answer. SamWalkerOBXNews.com. I want to thank my brother-in-law, Mike from Master Heating and Cooling, for coming in, talking to me on the podcast about the Feel the Love campaign that Lennox put out, the Lennox Air System. So you can go to feelthelove.com to get somebody nominated for a new HVAC system. Okay, feelthelove.com. Captain Marty, oh, Captain, my Captain. Fishing reports are out, fishing guides are out. Fishing reports and his stories, we're putting them up daily. The fishing stories, we're putting them up weekly. He and I and a bunch of the big wigs here at Outer Banks This Week in One Boat, we're going to be getting together in the near future to discuss the future of the Captain Marty project. Yeah, Captain Marty, we got some big projects, big things coming up for our buddy, old Captain Marty. And we look forward to sharing them with you once we get them all fine-tuned. So that is coming up in the near future. I was out at the Pirates Cove tournament with him last week, and that was a lot of fun. So Captain Marty, be listening to his fishing reports. They're online at outerbanksthisweek.com. Look for the Captain Marty tab. Click on that. You can listen to today's report. You can listen to yesterday's report. You can listen to a month ago on today's date's report. All up there online at outerbanksthisweek.com. All right, we're going to take a quick little break. When we come back, though, we're going to jump into some shout-outs, and I do have a few shout-outs.
An experience unlike any other on the Outer Banks. The Lost Colony, presented by PNC Bank, features harrowing fights, incredible costumes, and jaw-dropping special effects to tell the story of the first settlers of the Outer Banks. Bring the whole family to experience this remarkable show under the stars on Roanoke Island, running May 30th through August 24th. Visit thelostcolony.org.
There's a place at Hatter's Landing where people go to relax and enjoy great live entertainment by the water. The Wreck Tiki Bar. Right beside the ferry dock in Hatteras, the Wreck Tiki Bar has a drink menu that is sure to get you in vacation mode, featuring their own twist on classic tiki cocktails and a selection of rotating beers on tap. Pair them up with one of their delicious paninis, quesadillas, or crunch wraps. To get a glimpse of the paradise that awaits, go online to therecobx.com. No Hatteras vacation is complete without a trip to the Wreck Tiki Bar at Hatteras Landing.
Yes, the Wreck Tiki Bar down in Hatteras Village at Hatteras Landing. Such a fantastic place. Cool vibes, great drinks, great food. You won't go wrong. No Hatteras vacation is complete without a trip to the Wreck Tiki Bar at Hatteras Landing. All right, we're going to jump into these shout-outs. And again, if you're a listener to the podcast, you're looking to hear your shout-out. I love interacting with my listeners. Love it so much. I really, truly do. Podcast at OuterBanksThisWeek.com. That's podcast at OuterBanksThisWeek.com. Send me an email, and I would love to give you a shout out and say what's up. Again, I love interacting with my listeners. We're going to start with Arch Bracher from the Pelican. He won the Pirates Cove Billfish Tournament last week. Congratulations to Mr. Arch Bracher. And that one is kind of personal for the charter boat guys, because that's what he is. He's a charter boat captain on the boat, the Pelican. All right? Those guys, you know, a lot of times you have these bigger boats that'll come in from out of town that are just trying to win the tournament. They're not local boys. Well, that was a local boy that won the Pirates Cove Billfish Tournament last week. So congratulations to Arch Bracher of the Pelican for winning the Pirates Cove Billfish Tournament last week. So super cool to see a local boy bring home the gold. I want to shout out now to Miss Megan Brumfield. Now, Miss Megan, she wrote to me. Thank you for writing to me. I appreciate it. It's not her first time. She said, could you give a shout out to my lovely husband, Sterling, and say, Sterling, your wife, Megan, says you two are due for a fishing trip down south soon before she loses you to duck season this October. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Also, she loves you very much. So, Mr. Sterling Brumfield, you need to take your wife fishing before she loses you to duck season, and she loves you very, very much. Miss Megan, thank you for your email, and I'm sure that he will oblige you to take you fishing down to Hatteras, okay? If he doesn't, well, that's up to you to figure that part out. But thanks for the email. Thanks for listening. And Mr. Sterling, do so. You got a wife that wants to go fishing. You take her fishing. You keep her. Okay? My wife loves to do things that I love to do too. That's how you know they're good. So, Miss Megan, thank you for your email and continuing to just be a listener. We really appreciate it here at Outer Banks This Week. And my next one is to Aaron Haggerty. Aaron says, hey, my family and I are on our way down to Southern Shores from Philadelphia on our annual beach vacation. We're celebrating my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary. My parents' 50th is coming up, not this year. It's coming up in the near future. I can't remember when. But, hey, she says, I'm a huge fan of the podcast. It gives me a little bit of the taste of the beach every week. So I wanted to send a note to say thanks for all you do. Aaron, thank you for your email. Greatly appreciate it. I love it when I hear some good feedback from my listeners, because I do put a lot of energy. I put a lot of time in trying to make sure that I bring things to you that I feel like you will like and appreciate. There's no such thing as bad content, in my opinion. It's just timing that content a lot of times. I have some people like, why haven't you talked about this? Why haven't you done that? Well, it's not the time just yet. It's not time for that. So, I mean, I've been trying to strategically get some things done on my end, and I really appreciate it. The words of encouragement. So, Miss Aaron, thank you so much for those words, and I'm going to continue to work hard to bring you some good quality content about the Outer Banks and activities and people and places and things that are going on around here. So thank you so very much for that. Oh, gosh, we're going to take another quick break, and then we're going to jump into the interview with Wes Stepp. And I know what some of you are thinking. You're like, hey, where's Matty P? Where's Matty P? Well, Matty P had a birthday this week, and he's got a little bit of a birthday, I don't want to say hangover, but I gave my boy Matty P the week off. I'm like, Matty P, you just take that week off, and you're actually going to hear Matty P he's going to be a guest on the next episode in a different way of the podcast, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But no Matty P this week. Sorry, no BPL for all of y'all, and I'll let him know how disappointed all of you are. But again, coming up, we're going to talk to Chef Wes Stepp in just a few moments.
Ahoy there, folks. Captain Edward Lee here, and I want to invite you aboard the Miss Oregon Inlet 2. She's a modern 60-foot head boat outfitted with the latest top-quality safety and fishing equipment. And it ain't just about fishing. Keep your eyes peeled for dolphins, turtles, and all that beautiful Outer Banks scenery. Miss Oregon Inlet 2 is available for private charters, including bachelor and bachelorette parties, corporate retreats, and family reunions. So ditch the beach for a bit and set sail with the Miss Oregon Inlet 2.
Teachers Lair Marina in Hatteras Village is the closest spot on the Outer Banks to the Gulf Stream. Just inside Hatteras Inlet, Teachers Lair is fully loaded with bait, tackle, ice, snacks, and drinks for your fun-filled day out on the water. Want to get rigged up to catch the big one? Lee and the gang in the tackle shop can outfit you to catch whatever is eager to get hooked. To see the marina, the tackle shop, or to book a charter, go online to teacheslair.com. Teachers Lair Marina in Hatteras Village. Your fishing venture awaits.
All right, as I said, I over at NC Coast today. Thought I was going to be over at Red Sky Cafe, but NC Coast, another one of Chef Wes Stepp's establishments here in Duck, North Carolina. A beautiful day out here, and of course, I got Chef Wes Stepp sitting right across from me. Chef, how the heck are you today?
Justin, I am doing dandy today. I know what, it is a beautiful view over here.
You're right.
We had a couple parties going on at Red Sky for lunch today, and I thought, well, you know what? We're closed for lunch at NC Coast on Monday, so I said we're going to be quiet and we get a view of the sound.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and it's a beautiful day. I mean, and we've got some beautiful weather on tap for this week, so that makes it even better. So I want to start from the beginning with you because you have been chefing it up here on the Outer Banks for years. And I mean, I had the honor and privilege, I'd say it was about 6 years ago or so, when I was working in radio. You would come into the radio station, I'd talk to you about a couple things, kind of went through your history, and I want to go through that again because honestly, you have carved such a path here on the Outer Banks in the culinary world that people, I mean, they try to model themselves after you. You know, I mean, imitation is the best form of flattery. You know, I got a coworker that I try to work like she does on a daily basis, and I mean, I just don't. I don't quite have it like she does. Well, maybe one day, But let's start from the beginning. Where are you from? How'd you get here? All that fun stuff. Talk to me.
All right, Justin. Well, my story is kind of unprecedented a little bit. I mean, you know, everybody's story is and everybody's journey. I'm originally from West Virginia, okay? Now, oftentimes, I do a lot of cooking demos now. As you said, you know, I'm on the beach, and I've been cooking for a long time. I do Tastefully Fit, which is the healthy stuff, and I do a lot of seafood demos as well. And people will always ask me in the audience or something, they're going, because I always tell them I'm from West Virginia, and they'll go, now, how'd you learn to cook seafood so good being from West by God, Virginia? And I said, look, if you can make possum taste good, seafood's a cakewalk. You know what I mean? So,
there you go.
But anyway, I love to joke. It always disarms the crowd because, you know, I don't take myself too serious. And,
right.
And but I came down here with my family, like a lot of people that moved down here from other places, you know, vacationing as a kid. And so we'd come down here. West Virginia was a big place. We'd come down here every year, do a lot of fishing and stuff like that. And I ended up basically moving here after I got out of college, which I went to Marshall University, and I went to WVU as well. I studied psychology.
Oh.
And I cooked my way through school. And then I cooked my way through school, and each summer I'd come down here. And I'd cook at different restaurants or try different things, you know, just like every college student. I had no idea that becoming a chef was a real job. It was sort of like I loved the restaurant business. From the first job I had was dishwashing. from the servers and the kind of chaos that you kind of got to love if you're in the restaurant business.
Right,
All
yes.
you chefs out there know what I'm talking about. I mean, it can be hell on wheels, but it's like fun if you like to ride it. And anyway, I kept playing with it because I could make money, a little bit of money at the time. But I worked at Carawan Seafood too, one summer.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you one thing. That was probably one of the most pivotal jobs in my culinary career. Because here I am, this guy from West Virginia, 20 years old, 18, whatever. And I learned to cook tuna. And I learned, or not cook, but clean tuna and take the heads off shrimp. And the fishermen would come in with all these fish that you don't see in West by God, Virginia.
Right.
I've always been an avid hunter, outdoorsman. I'm from West Virginia. So that gave me a leg up that I didn't know about at the time on cooking seafood. And then in 1987, I didn't even have a car. Last semester, Huntington, West Virginia. And Mike Kelly had sent me a letter because I'd interviewed during spring break, and he said, you look like a cook, we'll hire you when you get out.
Okay, there you go.
And it looked like a real job to me, so I ended up hitchhiking from West Virginia to the Outer Banks, and I had no place to live.
Hitchhiked from
Yeah, that
West
wasn't
Virginia.
a good move, dude. I'm going to tell you what, when I got on the interstate, it was very romantic in your mind. You know what I mean? Just sort of like, it's like a storybook type thing. I had a guitar case, and it had dirty clothes in it. I didn't even play guitar, but, in my mind, it looked very cool. And after about 2 hours on 64, I realized this was not a good idea. And luckily, I had a guy that worked with my father at AT&T, CMP Telephone Company, and he pulled over. He pulled up and he goes, "Is that you, Wes?" And I said, "Mr. Peters." I said, "Yes." He goes, "Where are you going?" I said, "North Carolina." He said, "It's your lucky day. I'm going down there bass fishing." So I got a ride all the way from Huntington to the Outer Banks, and that's when this story starts.
Oh my gosh. Now that is cool. I mean, yeah, you took a leap of faith there. You said you got a letter from Mike Kelly, who
Yep.
we all know around here. He's had many different restaurants and establishments. You started walking with a guitar case full of dirty clothes.
Yeah, and a bag. I mean,
a bag.
Yeah,
And by the grace of God, we're going to call it what it is.
For sure.
Mr. Peters here said, just happened to be heading this way, picked you up and brought you the rest of the way, man. That is a cool story.
And then there was a guy that I stayed in. His name was Walter Spaeth. He's passed, but he used to be the manager, and he worked at a restaurant by George and all that. He's originally from Elizabeth City. He had a house right across from Tortugas, where Tortugas is now.
Right.
At the time, it was Gandalf's.
Okay.
And Bob Cannery owned that. I had worked there one summer. But he let me sleep in his garage until I could find a place. And I started as the fry cook at Kelly's. So the fry cook in the restaurant business, and I know you love the restaurant. You're interested in it.
I am actually.
Well, look, the fry cook is it's bottom rung. I mean, you're covered in flour the whole time. You're dealing with fryers and everything else. It's a hard job. You learn production. And I tell you what, that's when I got introduced to a true restaurateur that I'd played around with it. I'd fallen in love with the business. I fallen in love with the idea of cooking, and I loved it, what it gave to me inside. It was just something. I couldn't explain it. Just like you're saying, grace of God, it's sort of like a spiritual thing. You can't spiritual solutions or spiritual things in your life you can't explain, you must experience.
Right.
You know what? Everyone else's is different, and you can try your best, but you can't explain it. But for me, it just clicked, and I guess that was like a passion I had. And I also, like I said, I had a passion for the restaurant business. I was a big partier. I love that because restaurants are big party places.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
And here I am, young, 22, I think it was when I was here in 87, and I was just like, okay, let's rock and roll.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So, Mike Kelly's had a few establishments. Now, which one?
I was at Kelly's.
You were at the flagship.
Yeah. Kelly's is, Kelly only had Kelly's when I was with him.
Okay,
and
that's
then
right.
he bought Penguin Isle, which was, later became Pamela Co. Jack's.
Right.
And then he bought Mako's in with all of that as well.
Right.
But anyway, Mike Kelly was an experience because he was he's a driven guy. And he taught me, people to this day look at me and they go, dang, Wes, you're awful driven. Because one thing about us up here is like my staff and stuff knows that, we always try to stay open. I mean, during COVID, we stayed open 7 days a week. We did takeout, we did delivery. I made a virtual market out of NC Coast so people who were quarantining up here in the northern banks could order their food instead of going to a Food Line or Harris Teeter.
Right.
I mean, we were just always pushing the envelope. I learned that from none other than Mike Kelly, because that's the way he drove his business. We'd have hurricanes back in the day or something like that, or the power would go off, and he'd feed all the power guys, and we'd all think, oh, man, we're going to get off for sure tonight. No, we're going to come into work, and we're going to, if we can't feed anybody else, we'll feed the army of power guys who are down here trying to reestablish power on the Outer Banks. I learned how important a restaurant is to a community, and I learned how important it is for a restaurant owner, maybe more than any other business, to give back. Because it's sort of an extension of home when you find your own favorite restaurants.
That's very true. Very true. So you jumped in there at Kelly's.
Oh, yeah.
Started out on the fryer, I'm assuming. Yeah, you said that. That's right.
Back in the day, so there was 3 of us, and this is where the Carawan story comes in. So here I am. I'm from West by God, Virginia, and I'm like the green one, right?
Right.
And I'm saying I can do all this stuff, but I didn't know how much of it was to do, because that was high volume back in the day at Kelly's. And then there was another guy there, and he was sort of a Outer Banks legend himself that was a cook at the time. Most people, if they listen to this podcast, would know him as a bartender, but his name was Carter Blakely. And he was one of the strongest cooks on the beach and production-oriented fast, And then we had the head chef who just got out of culinary school from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Well, one day, Kelly bought a bunch of tuna on the back deck. And he goes, okay, I got fresh tuna for you, boys. And the Pittsburgh guy who just got out of culinary school was a good chef. He's like, I've never seen tuna whole.
Oh, wow.
And then Carter, who he said, well, Carter, you got to clean this tuna. He was, from down here. And Carter goes, I don't clean fish. So I said, I can do it. And he stood there. And you remember Mike when he had the beard?
Yes.
And he would chew his bottom lip and watch me, waiting for me to screw that tuna up. Well, I didn't, because of Carawan Seafood. I knew how to clean it. And he said, I'll be damned. Boy from West Virginia knows how to clean fish. That is job security. And he stormed off. And I was like, thank goodness for Carawan Seafood. You know what I mean?
Well, there you go. That's awesome. Now, you worked your way up.
Yep. So basically, we started doing catering at the time. Catering wasn't a big deal down here on the Outer Banks. Kelly was always pushing the envelope to the next level. So we didn't have Google and all that other stuff. Well, I'd get cookbooks. And I always wanted to do something, especially, that's where my mantra, which is not my mantra. I mean, I have a friend of mine told me once, he said, Wes, if you had an original thought, it would die from loneliness. But through life, you pick things up,
right,
and then you adopt them and maybe switch them up a little bit. But my mantra as a chef is the first bite's taken with your eyes. And
Amen.
So here I am cooking fried food, which back in those days, it was just like a piece of kale and a lemon. Remember those days?
Yes.
Tartar sauce and cocktail.
Yes.
Fry that stuff and put it out on the plate as fast as you can.
Yes.
But I was doing all these other intricate garnishes and stuff. And Kelly noticed. He was like, now, see, this guy, he's trying to make this not just a fried platter, a beautiful fried platter. And the next thing was that I was driven to learn all the stations, and I just kept learning all the stations. And next thing you know, I am, running the middle, because that was another thing. Carter, who was naturally a sous chef or the second in charge of the kitchen, I was the green guy. He didn't like to work the middle. He didn't clean fish, and he didn't like to work the middle. The middle reads the tickets, does the saute, and coordinates the line in the rushes. And because he didn't want to, I was like, I got an opportunity to do this. And from there, I moved on. From there, I stayed for 15 years at Kelly's. When I left in 2002, I had gone from fry cook to the executive chef at Kelly's. And I stayed at the head chef at Kelly's for probably 6 or 7 years. And that's where I got introduced. Remember Channel 12 back in the day?
I was about to bring up Channel 12.
You were going to bring that up.
I was going to bring that up because I remember the show Coastal Cuisine.
Yes.
And I remember you on Coastal Cuisine. I'm Wes Stepp. executive chef here at Kelly's Outer Banks Restaurant and Tavern, and you would fix, I just can't even remember what you would fix right now, but I remember watching that, and I mean, if there was nothing else on TV, I would put it on TV 12 and just watch that stuff over and over and over again. And I mean, there's still clips of you floating around.
I know.
That I've seen, I'd say within the last month or so online.
I tell you what, I was heavy back then too, so when I was floating around, I was more like the Michelin Man a little bit. But it is but anyway, Kelly did that as well, so he was really big into advertising. Like I said, cutting edge businessman, not just in the kitchen, not just pushing us. But he said, Chef, I want you to do this. I'd never been on TV before. And either you kind of got it or you don't. You know what I mean? It's not as easy as it looks. There's a lot of chefs out there that are great at cooking, probably some of the best in the world, but just like they might not be the best, though, you know, on TV because they get a little stuttery or whatever.
You got a face for television.
Yeah.
You're a very, I mean, if you've never seen Chef Wes Stepp, very strapping, good-looking man sitting across from me. Just throwing that out.
Can we get a second opinion over here? Can we get a second opinion? Anyway, but so I started doing those, and it really did take off. And what it did is, you know, you can go to a lot of your favorite restaurants in town, but you don't really know unless you personally know them who the chefs are. So especially if you're going out of town or something. When that Channel 12 let you coming from Pittsburgh go, damn, I want to go to Kelly's, and oh, that's the chef. Chef Wes will be back there cooking, you know? And it became one of the, next thing you know, when I got out of Kelly's, next thing you know, I was invited to do the Hampton Roads show up there a lot. I did that for years. And I asked them why they wanted me to come up, because I did one for Taste of the Beach, where the Taste of the Beach paid for all of us different chefs. And then they asked me to keep coming back. And they were like, I said, you got all them chefs up there in the Hampton Roads area. What do you want me from the Outer Banks coming up there for? And they go, because you can cook and talk at the same time. And we need that every now and then.
You can cook and talk.
Yeah. So anyway, I learned to really cook on TV in small segments. That's a whole nother thing to learn to do.
Right.
So that it's flashy, it's quick, there's a lot of action, and it's appealing.
Right. Absolutely. So you left Kelly's in 2002.
Yep.
What was next?
Okay.
What did we do next?
I was in Nag's Head, and back then, you know how it is. Where are you based out of?
Wanchese, baby. West by God Wanchese.
Right. So you basically had to pack a little bag and a little lunch to come all the way up here to Duck. You don't make it up here often. Well, I didn't even know Duck really existed at the time. You know what I mean? Because I was in such my own little world down there in the Nag's Head, Kill Devil Hills area.
Right.
And I ran into this guy who wanted to sell this restaurant called the Village Wine Shop, which it also was a subpar or a subline of Red Sky Cafe. And he had excellent sandwiches, but he just couldn't develop a business at night because people went in for the sandwiches.
Right.
And so ended up being able to purchase that. And so that was my first big venture out. I had nothing. I mean, I was really fortunate. I had I had some good people in my corner. Taylor Suggs was my banker. He was from Wachovia at the time. That's a while back.
Yeah.
And he helped me out. And anyway, next thing you know, when I left Kelly's, I swore I'd never cater again. I said, God, because it puts so much strain on the kitchen, you know, with everything, especially if you're a cook. You're like, we don't want anyone in our area. I had a really one perception of a restaurant. I learned all the perceptions of a restaurant when I owned my own. But anyway, so in 2002, I took over the Village Wine Shop. I got rid of the Village Wine Shop, and I made it just the Red Sky Cafe.
Okay.
And from there, it was just, you know, I just learned I learned so much because when I was at Kelly's and I was back in the kitchen, around 10:30, 11 o'clock, we'd see all these good-looking girls dressed really nice coming from the front door. And they come through the kitchen, right? And I was like, and they worked for Kelly. They were hostesses. And I was like, dang, these guys, they don't do nothing. You know, I'm back here strapping it out. I'm sweating. Everyone's burned. You know, we just did it all. They don't look at them. They're all clean. When I got my own restaurant, I realized just how important those you know, women or men or whoever is doing it. If you're a host or a hostess or at the front door, I'm going to tell you one thing. The restaurant's your Rubik Cube. They use their minds. If they're good at what their job is, they make you, they meet people with a smile. They set the tone, and they're the ones that can get the people in and set them down in a restaurant. So I just had to learn that the chef ain't the most valuable thing all the time.
Well, I mean, you're definitely an integral part of the,
Yes.
of the cube. There,
Of the
you
cube,
know?
yeah.
I mean, you are what they see them, those smiling faces. They sit down, then what? Oh, they got to eat.
I tell you another thing too, and this is personal stuff, but everyone knows a lot about Wes anyway. But the other thing was in 1999. Okay, and Kelly was one thing I learned. I own restaurants a little bit like Kelly did with us because that's where my experience came from. But he was always real supportive. In 1999, I got sober, so I quit drinking.
Okay.
And that was the biggest change in my life because, so it's been 25 years now since January 4th. And then, but that was a huge change in my life because all of a sudden I was just sort of going in a circle. And that's when I was out of shape and I was really unhealthy. And, you see me now and you just said, oh, he's strapping.
Dude, yeah.
One thing that I did was I started going to the gym, because if you got all this time now on your hands, you know what I mean? What are you going to do?
Right, right.
It's like you're changing your life. So that's when I started working out really hard and started going to the gym. I've had the same trainer since 2008. And it's just become an intricate part of my life. And that's one thing that in the hospitality business, I wanted to create was an environment, especially when we got NC Coast or when I got NC Coast, because I knew it was going to rock over here on the water. So now I had Red Sky Catering, and NC Coast. And I wanted to create an environment where people like me who have a passion for cooking and stuff like that. See, back in the day when I first started, I was going, I'm just going to do this till I get a real job. And I wanted to show people that if you got a passion like me, that a restaurant is a real job.
Right.
You can make real money.
100%.
We do insurance. You can have benefits. You can do this. Do what you do.
Right.
So,
right. Now you were talking about, you got sober, you started exercising, everything like that. But there's also another element to your business that you've showed people how to fix healthy meals.
Yep.
Talk to me about that. I want to hear some of that stuff.
Okay, so in 1999, that's when I started working out and everything. Everything has been piecemeal for me. So it's like I didn't like cardio. I still don't like cardio. Okay, but
Right.
I was okay with lifting weights. But to get where I wanted to go, I needed to start doing cardio. So I plugged that in. And then they told me to get to where I really wanted to go, I needed to change my food. And I'm like, okay, I'm working out all the time. I should be able to eat whatever I want. I'm a chef.
Yeah, naturally.
Well, in 2013, 2014, I went through a hard time personally. I was going through a divorce. There was a lot of stuff going on. I tore my knee doing a Tough Mudder, which is up in Wintergreen. I didn't tear it. It was a meniscus tear.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Had to get that fixed. I got it fixed in November. That laid me up. So November, the winter time, going through a lot of personal stuff, and then you're injured. And, you can really get in your own head.
Yes,
and then
my Lord.
this dude came up to me in the gym. His name is Levi Burge, and he was an all-natural bodybuilder. And he looked at me. He goes, would you quit doing all that crazy stuff you're doing and why don't you do a bodybuilding competition? So I did a bodybuilding competition in 2014. I started in January, and I trained until May. It was an all-natural bodybuilding competition, so there's no steroids or anything like that. And that's when I learned the nutrition part of this game.
Okay.
Because I actually worked out less hard training for this competition. I lifted weights, I did cardio, everything was strategic. But I got more results than I'd ever gotten in my whole life because of the way I fed myself. Now, I told Levi, and Levi's a bodybuilder, so the end justifies the means. He could walk around eating a cooked chicken breast and a bag of raw spinach and brown rice 7 times a day. But I'm a chef. My number one I can't eat like that.
Right.
And so I said, if you got to eat like that, I can't do it. I can do the working out, but I can't eat like that. He said, this is the parameters of a clean diet. This is what you need to plug in. You're the chef, figure it out. He said, I don't really care because I'm not that much about food. So I started doing shrimp and grits Tastefully Fit. Grits are a complex carbohydrate. I had no idea. It's white. It can't be a complex carbohydrate. No, it's a complex carbohydrate. So I started, none of my stuff I ever did was like 86 any, like if you go on a diet that eliminates an entire food group, I don't know how sustainable it is. So
It's not.
Yes.
It's not. Anyway.
So sweet potatoes, all of this stuff started to go into play, and I fed myself. And what I did was during that 3-month period where I was training, I also journaled my food, which I also didn't want to do because I didn't think I needed to because I know what it is.
Right. Yeah,
He
of course.
said, do it for me anyway. And from that came a cookbook called Tastefully Fit.
Tastefully Fit.
And that was the name of my program that I still do to this day. And now I've kind of partnered a lot with the hospital down here.
Cool.
What we're doing is a lot of Blue Zone stuff. So I'm kind of the Blue Zone guy, okay? Because Blue Zone, which is, you know what Blue Zones is?
I'm not familiar. I don't know.
Okay, Blue Zones are 5 areas throughout the world where the majority of people, are that lived over 100. And not just live, but thrive. So like in Costa Rica, there's one in Greece, there's in Italy, there's one in California called Loma Linda, and then there's Okinawa in Japan. And so basically the whole 9 yards is if you read the books, it's on Netflix, go to National Geographic. They did this study and it was called the Blue Zones.
Okay.
So they did comparison contrast. What do these guys have in common? None of them know the other ones exist. They're not following the same book.
Right.
There's 9 PowerPoints, and then basically it's clean eating. These guys grow their own food. They have purpose in their lives. You know what I mean? They're spiritual. They hang out with just all the things you need for success.
Right.
And the food is the big component.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just making sure that it's all.
And my job for that kind of stuff, Justin, is that if you got to go on a diet, you're like, oh, God,
Yes.
now I'm going to punish myself because I've been such a bad boy for the last 10 years and I'm overweight. And now I'm going to have to eat gray food. With gray, I mean just boring. You know what I mean? It's like I'm going from Technicolor to black and white again.
Yes.
But what I try to do is take all the parameters and what I did during the bodybuilding competition and create food that's quick, affordable, easy to prepare, but once again, that mantra that I talked about earlier, spinning in there, the first bite's taken with your eyes. So it's not great food. It's very flavorful food. And so that's what I do. So somebody who has no desire to lose weight or go on a diet or change the way they eat can eat a Blue Zone meal and go, okay, I could eat like this all the time.
Yes.
This is good.
Oh, okay. So that's what you've done here. You've taken with Tastefully Fit. And you've taken all those ingredients that people normally use when they're trying to eat healthy and stay healthy.
As close as it appears in nature. 86, the processed foods. So it's all like, and when we had COVID and the society, we've become so technologically advanced, we forgot the basics sometimes. But like when we had COVID, Brooke Sparks, I don't know if you know Brooke or not.
Yes, I know Brooke.
Brooke was like, hey, Wes, could you do a video from NC Coast? Because, we got all this food at the food bank, but it's all raw vegetables and stuff. And a lot of people don't know how to cook a sweet potato.
Brooke.
Yeah. So anyway, that's always been my passion. So food and fitness are my 2 passions, and I love to give that gift. I do a lot of seminars, and I do a lot of stuff and with Tastefully Fit and the healthy food. And I always find, a friend of mine told me once, he goes, there's only 2 reasons people change in this world, Wes. He goes, some people change because they see the light. They just realize they're on the wrong trail, and they need to go left instead of right, or right instead of left, and they just need to do it. And he goes, and then there's the other half of the world, Wes, which you're included in, that only change when they feel the flame. It's like, it's getting hot in here, but it'll be okay. It's getting real hot. Oh, shoot, I got to move. You know what I mean? and so sometimes people will come in because they know that, hey, I was still working out. I'm a little older now. Maybe I'm in my 50s or late 40s. And I know that nutrition's a big part of achieving the goals that I want to achieve and sustain my life, and have more quality of living. And then there's other people that have gone to the doctor, and the doctor looks at them and go, hey, if something doesn't change, your ticker's going to give out.
Right.
Or you're going to be, you're going to go on diabetes medicine, or you're going to do this, or you're going to do that. So those are the other peeps.
Right, of course. Yeah. So very good program that you have there and everything that you've rolled into it is amazing. I think that's great that you've taken that bull by the horns, and like you said, some of those bland foods is like, I gotta eat like this. You've made it into something.
Oh yeah.
Now let's before we shift back to the restaurants, cookbook. You said you made it into a cookbook. Where can you get it?
Okay,
Got it online?
Nope. Okay, so what I did was, this was typical Wes Stepp fashion from Kelly, is I did a lot of guerrilla marketing at the time. So the first cookbook that I did, we self-published it. My sister helped me a lot with all of the stuff, and I'll never forget that was the video. I also did a cooking video back in the day. Do you remember that?
Oh,
Coastal Cuisine.
Yes.
I did a VCR cooking video. And that was back in, I got it into Kmart. And the day that I was supposed to take it to Kmart, and they had the TV set up and everything, this is pre-cookbook, it was 9/11.
Wow.
And so it was, of course, the world changed on 9/11. Yes. I had all my stuff to go over to Kmart, and I'm watching the Today Show. You know what I mean? To see the towers going down and everything else. And I'm like, wow. And so I went to Kmart, and it was Todd was managing Kmart at the time. Really tall guy.
Yes, yeah.
And,
I know what you're talking about.
He goes, Wes, we're going to have to put a hold on it. He said, where we had the TV set up, we're selling flags. And I said, heard. I said, call me when it come back, But anyway, the Tastefully Fit, so we did a guerrilla marketing on that. I sold around 4,000 to 5,000 copies of that thing, and basically I'd sell it during seminars, and people would buy it, and I'd sign it for them and stuff like that. And right now we quit putting it back out because it's sort of... I can do better now.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so my next, the book that I want to come out with is going to be more on that and sort of how my food has changed from when I was living a real unhealthy life and how it evolved and how my cooking evolved. Because basically, chefs, they can never stand still. They must continually evolve. There's so much information out there. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I think being a chef on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, if you've got the passion for it, and even more than the passion, you have got to be able to fall in love with the grind. Because I'm going to tell you one thing, this is not like Food Network. I mean, Food Network has really fooled a lot of people. They go, I want to be a chef. And then they get in here and they just really realize how hard of a job this stuff is. The pressure that these guys are under and I'm under, the girls are under every single day in every facet. So the thing about being so lucky to be a chef on the Outer Banks, you love the passion, you can fall in love with the grind, you can deal with the tumultuous hours and all the other stuff. But the Outer Banks of North Carolina is a great place to be a chef because guess what? We got a lot of visitors from New York and from everywhere else in the free world coming down here, from England and all the different places. And guess what? They bring all their trends. And so when they come in the summer, you can't stay still. Because their palates change because they get exposed to things in these bigger metropolitan areas, and then they go, hey, you know what? I got in this restaurant up in New York. I got this, and I saw that once. It would work, but instead of pork, I'm going to use fresh tuna, or I'm going to use. So I look at these. I get inspired by people who come in, customers,
right,
who have seen things that I don't get to see because I'm here. And then I get to take what they've seen and study about it and plug in Outer Banks seafood.
That's awesome.
And so basically what we've done is, fusion of cultures, not just food.
Right. Well, you've got Red Sky.
Yep.
You've got NC Coast.
Yep.
What's the difference in the two? Is it just one's on the sound side, one's on the ocean side of the road? What does each one of them focus
That's a huge
on?
difference.
Yeah, that is.
Red Sky was the first. Okay, so Red Sky, when I first started with Red Sky, I really liked that sort of back in 2002, that Bobby Flay type cooking. I loved a little bit of that Southwestern-y type stuff that was going into things. And this was before he was super duper famous and all that. I remember reading his books when I was working at Kelly's. And so I love those flavors. Then we kind of transitioned because it's been there for 22 years. We did a lot of the Nouveau Southern cuisine. So it's sort of a cross between Southern Nouveau, which is sort of contemporary Southern food.
Right, yeah.
So biscuits and gravy, but totally funked out. You know what I mean? And then when I got the opportunity to do NC Coast, I was like, really what I want to do is I want to do a menu that's a little bit different than everybody else is doing. Because all these people in the restaurants down here, we may all have different menus, but a lot of us do the same kind of veined food. So I really wanted to do more globally inspired. So what I did was I made some trips to Raleigh, and I made some different trips where I'd go to Korean restaurants or this restaurant, that restaurant. And then what I like to do, instead of doing it traditional just as it is if you go to a Korean restaurant, my customer base is a little different. So I want to flip it around to put it with something you might recognize. For example, we did a bulgogi banh mi wrap. So you've eaten a lot of wraps before. Wrap is not going to scare you. No. You like beef. You don't know what banh mi is, but I like everything else in it, so let me try it. And that's how you get people to grow right in your restaurant, and that becomes a dining experience. Now, the other thing that I did, the thing that I do for my catering business is if you're getting married, Justin, and you're bringing your fiance in, whatever, we do tastings at Red Sky. I've been doing them forever. And it's changed. It used to be mirrors back in the day. Mirrors were a really cool, different way to present food. And I just do a sampler of all my favorite stuff on this mirror, and it was beautiful. And so when I opened NC Coast in 2018, I said, man, I would love to do a chef's tasting board on the menu. Now we do the chef's board on the menu. Now, the biggest thing with that is figuring out how you're not going to screw the whole kitchen with production. But it's one of the most, you just get lucky sometimes. I mean, you're always, throwing everything against the wall and you're going to see what sticks. And at NC Coast, so basically if you ask anybody who comes into NC Coast on a reg, I guarantee you they've had the chef board. I had a table in here one time and it was like a 12 top. And we did a long 6-foot board. So we're not doing mirrors. So mirrors when it went to farm and table, it kind of went into the boards, the more rustic look. Right, so I got these really nice boards that we do our caterings with as well. But I'll never forget, the restaurant was pretty full. We had a 12 top. They ordered a board. We had a 6-foot board, right, with all these different foods on it. And when I brought it out to the table and we laid it down the table, the entire restaurant had hushed.
Oh, wow.
And people started getting up from other tables to come over and take pictures of their food.
That's awesome.
And I said, you know what? That's what I love about being a chef, and especially one down here on the Outer Banks, is when you can take food and make it become an experience. And, there's some restaurant owners. I know you had Randolph and Amanda on the podcast.
Yes,
those two have,
Saltbox.
Not only are they excellent chefs, but they've got amazing personalities, And so it's like you feel like, and that is how everybody does it in their own way. But when you can meet the person who's making you happy with the food and have a conversation with them and they make you feel at home.
Right.
It's like that's your favorite meal. Now, you might have that exact same meal down the road 2 weeks later, everything the same about the meal. But nobody come up and talk to you, and guess what? It's like, it's not as good as that Saltbox or NC Coast or Red Sky.
That's right. And I mean, that's the thing. They'll get that whole experience if they come and eat with you here at NC Coast or over at Red Sky. Because,
exactly.
And you have that personality about you. You're a people person. You like talking to people and meeting new people. And like you said, and seeing what the different tastes and different flavors from other places and how you can make it your own.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing, and how you stay ahead of the curve, ahead of the gap, whatever.
And food, to me, I found that food is the number one liaison in the world.
Amen.
If you get a whole table
of
politically different people, and they don't like a thing about the way they look at each other or the way they look at the world.
Yeah.
But you lay a platter of food down, they're all of a sudden friends.
They're friends.
Oh, have you tried that one? Yeah, I did. That shrimp is freaking good.
That is so true.
And, it's like the whole world sometimes just needs to go out and have dinner together sometime.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And maybe they'll come have dinner here or over at Red Sky.
Yeah. Now, in the winter, another one of the things, we'll keep talking, but one thing that Kelly always showed me was, a lot of, especially when you're in a resort area, a lot of people are geared up for the season. You know what I mean? They get geared up, they hire heavy, and whatever they can do to get through the season, which is the number one. That's how we make our money.
Right.
But I'm open, like at NC Coast, we're open 364 days out of the year. We're open every single day except for Christmas Day.
Okay.
And so in the wintertime up here in Duck, North Carolina, it can get a little lonely sometimes. So what we do is, not only do we do the boards, but here at NC Coast and at Red Sky, that's when you want to keep your eyes open for the dinner and drink series that we do. We start them in September. Actually, this year I'm starting mine September the 11th.
Okay.
Which is going to be a first dinner and drink series. And that's sort of like a wine dinner. It'll be like a 5 or 6 course meal paired with, but I oftentimes don't do wine. Sometimes I'll do really small, like mixed drinks. So that lets the bartenders grow. Not just the chefs. So the bartenders compare these little drinks, you know what I mean, with these foods. And we do all different kinds of topics. I've done Christmas around the world. That was really successful, you know. I did Yellowstone. Yellowstone was huge.
Okay.
Everyone would come in cowboy hats and everything. Lord. And so I'd take all that Yellowstone stuff and twist it up, you know, and give it names. And
that's so cool.
I mean, and we've done The Great Gatsby. We've done, you know, it's just like, it lets my chefs really, instead of just slinging it out and under the gun, it lets that create. I mean, it's not only great for the community, and it's great, of course, it's creating business for the restaurant, but it gives those chefs that creative license. It's like, let's work on this menu. We're going to do something that's completely out of the box.
Man, that is so freaking cool. And the fact that you keep, you know, people employed throughout the wintertime.
All year round.
And I mean, just coming up with all these different, creations for all these different themes and stuff, man. That is so innovative. And I mean, it's just,
it's fun.
It's what it is. It's what you are. It's what you bring to the table every day. So when people come in here, they know that they're going to get, it's like you said, the dining experience.
Yes.
It is a unique dining experience that, as a business owner, as a restaurant owner, you want them, you know, the way I think about things a lot of times is, what is one thing I'm going to go home when people ask me, hey, man, how was your trip down to the Outer Banks? What am I going to tell them?
Right.
What am I going to be bragging about the most? Okay? And telling them when you go next week, you know, a lot of people will be like, hey, you know, their friends are spread out their weeks or whatever. Hey, when you go down, go down, see Chef Wes. He'll remember me because we're all from West by God, Virginia. You tell him that I was there last week and I came, you know, I sent you down here. You know, that sort of
I
thing.
tell you what, whenever I see a West Virginia hat, I got to go up and talk to them immediately. Because if you're from West Virginia, you are always from West by God, Virginia. And but you know, I just enjoy meeting so many different people. I mean, everyone's on an even playing field, you know, when they come in here. You know, from Wall Street to from Yale to jail. Let's just put it that way, okay? Everybody from Yale to jail. we got some people coming through this place, and you know, everybody eats different, and it's just so. If I can talk to you for like a couple minutes, and I don't get to do this with everybody because we're just so inundated with people, but when I can, I love to just go, well, I kind of like fish or whatever, and let me go back here and make you something. Now that's the uniqueness of the board, because when you order the board, you don't order it. It is the chef's board. So basically, you're trusting somebody. The food that comes out on the board is going to be a surprise to you. You know, it's going to have a little shrimp. I mean, they're going to give you a rundown of all the proteins and stuff are on there and make sure that you're not allergic to anything or whatever like that. But it is the chef's board. So when it comes out, it's like, I found that people just so enjoy that kind of eating because, like, me and you're eating a prime rib. We both like prime rib, right?
Prime rib.
Okay, but about halfway through it or 3/4 through it, I'm kind of like going, okay, even if it's a really good prime rib, I'm over this. You know, my mind's like, I did it, I enjoyed it. When you got that board, it's like, I got a little piece of steak. I got a little shrimp and grits. I got an NC Coast oyster. I've got some go-go cauliflower. I've got this. I've got some charred raw tuna. Boom. You know what I mean? It's like I eat more because I don't get bored with what I'm eating. It's an
when's
adventure.
Our board coming out here? Celeste, go get our board. No. Let me ask you this before we wrap this thing up.
Okay.
It's just curiosity, just a couple random questions I got here. If somebody says chef's choice, hey, what are you going to eat tonight? Okay, hey, I want Chef's Choice. Somebody comes back there, you get your ticket, it says, whatever you want to fix them. What are you going to fix? That's a hard one. Is that a hard one?
It is a real hard one because, it's like I would want to find out what kind of proteins they like. And then I would
Tuna.
Tuna. Okay. I would do a seared rare tuna, first of all. All right. And I would keep it really light. So I'd do seared rare tuna. If they eat it well done, then I'd say go get a dang pack of tuna salad. Okay. But they got to be able to eat it medium rare to rare. Okay. And I would use combinations of different spices to give it a little chili bite to it so it'd be spicy. We do an avocado mango relish here. It's sort of like guacamole, but it's a little bit more individualized underneath of that. I love that kind of southwesterny type, clean flavor on top of it. Anyway, that's probably with tuna. That would be one of mine, sort of a southwesterny, clean, fresh, light, full of flavor, and served medium rare.
All right. Okay. You know what? I'm really in the mood for steak tonight. I changed my mind. I don't want the tuna.
Okay, I would go with a ribeye.
A ribeye steak. All right, keep going.
Okay, and once again with that, what we do is I would probably put some. If I was going to make you one, I would use a little bit of Cajun spice because I like a little bite to mine, okay, and get a nice char on all of it. Serve it medium rare, of course. I'd finish it with some mojo onions, which is basically you take orange juice and different things like that, and you make a brilliant mojo onion. And then I'd finish it with a little bit of chimichurri just going across the top, which is more Argentinian type. Have you ever seen chimichurri?
I am familiar with it, yes.
It's got a little spice. It's beautiful, bright green. Once again, it lifts your flavor palette up. It's great with meat.
I feel like he just got done talking dirty to me. You know what I mean? I feel like he just got done talking dirty to me.
You know what? That's what a chef does. They create food that feels like you're having sex. You know what I mean? It's like you're on it then. I mean, then you go, okay, I have gone to the next level.
Yes, the next level.
I didn't just eat. I felt like I was used in a good way.
In a great way. Perfect. Well, Chef Wes, I thank you for giving me some of your time today to be on the Outer Banks This Week podcast. Of course, you got Red Sky, you got NC Coast, all online, redskycafe.com.
Red Sky Casual Dinings and Cocktails.
Okay.
And we've got NC Coast, we've got Red Sky Catering. Now, another thing with Red Sky Catering is I started in 2002, real quick to plug this.
Yeah, do it.
2002, I was the first Chefs on Call. And I'm going to tell you what, at the end of the year, we do approximately 3 to 4 chefs on calls, and that's where in 2002 I'd have customers come in and go, we just like you to come to our house because we've got 25 people there. And I was like, well, and then I'd made up some number, and I was like, if you pay this, I'll do it. And they go, oh yeah, that's no problem. And I was like, okay, that's how that business started. And so then we started doing chefs on calls. Now, we have done it to where we do, like I said, 3 to 4 a night during the season. And that's where we go into their kitchen. We're like little ninjas. And we go in, we prep everything at the restaurant. We cook everything in their house or in their kitchen, regardless of what the kitchen's like. We present it like you were at a restaurant on the boards again or whatever we do. And everyone gets to enjoy family time. If they want to have a few cocktails, they don't have to worry about drinking. If the kids want to play on the games, we give them food first, and then they're off to the movie room.
Right.
And you know what? People do that, and they just kept doing it each and every year. That was the highlight of their trip. And now there's a lot of different people that do that kind of professional chef business down here on the Outer Banks. But we're chefs on call.
You're the OG.
I'm the OG.
You're the OG. All right, now that's got me with another question.
Okay.
Hit me with another question by bringing that up. If you could name just 1 or 2 or however many famous individuals or celebrities that you may have had the honor and privilege to be able to cook them dinner that night, can you think of any? Because I feel like I can think of at least 1 or 2 that I am aware of.
I can think of a whole bunch of them, but I mean, and that is one of the joys that I've got to meet Ed O'Neill. I've done his. Remember him, Married with Children?
Yes.
Okay, me and Ed got to be really tight. I did Linda Carter, the original Wonder Woman.
Wow.
Okay, I did her for her birthday down here, and I took my daughter with me. She was my assistant. And I'll never forget, I said, Linda, because she was really friendly, really she was not, and we got to be kind of friends because she doesn't drink either. So it was like all of a sudden, it was like we had something in common. And I'll never forget, I looked at her and I said, Linda, I got to be honest with you. After I got comfortable, I said, you were my first lust. I mean, love. And she goes, you know how many people your age have told me that? She goes, I understand, because I tell you what, when I was a kid watching Wonder Woman, I was like, okay, that's a woman.
Yes.
But she was great. I did UNC this summer. We've done them twice now. I got to meet all the players. The coach was so freaking cool. I mean, just so down to earth. And yes, and I've kind of become really tight with Ruby Bridges.
Okay.
Now, Ruby Bridges, I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she's down here quite often now. She was a civil rights icon that she's an author as well. And then she's the one that when she was a little girl in 1960, Norman Rockwell drew a picture of her because she was integrating the schools in New Orleans. And she was the first little girl that, and the federal marshals and stuff took her in.
Right.
She's an amazing individual. She has a huge foundation that works with education all over the world now. And she, like you said, she writes a lot of books. There was the Ruby Bridges story, which was a 1992, I do believe, ABC movie, which is a really great movie. And so anyway, you know, that's what food has done for me. You know what I mean? Beautiful. Like I said, food is my liaison. So I met him from UNC to Ed O'Neill's to Linda Carter's.
There's one that sticks out in my mind because I remember I messaged Celeste about it. And it's former WWE superstar Mandy Rose.
Yeah,
Mandy Rose on the screen.
Right, Mandy Rose.
And I remember seeing some pictures floating around. I saw you interviewing her on your podcast.
Yeah.
And I got jealous.
Yeah.
I got really jealous because I'm a huge WWE. Like, I'll be watching, you know, today is a Monday, the recording of this podcast, or this part of it. I'll be watching Monday Night Raw tonight. You know what I mean?
And they've got their own podcast now, too. Her and her fiance or husband, Sabby is his name.
Okay.
But anyway, we did them 2 years, last summer.
Yeah.
And you know what? She is cool, and they were all cool, and it just, there's a lot of them. We did some pro football players, too. I'm not a big sports guy, so it doesn't hit me as hard, but...
I geeked out. I was like, I wish I had known he was going to do... I could have fed him questions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could have been like, ask her this, you know, like...
She's not allowed to use Mandy Rose anymore. I think that's why she's back to Mandy Sack.
Yeah, that's her actual name, yeah. Well, anyway, I have had a lot of fun sitting here talking to you.
Me too.
And I've thoroughly enjoyed it. If you are coming on vacation, you've been here on vacation, and you're coming back, or you have eaten at Red Sky or at NC Coast, shoot me a message, podcast@outerbanksthisweek.com. Let me know what you had, and I'll make sure that I let the chef know that how much you enjoyed your meal. Or if you haven't been here yet, you need to come here, get something to eat, because it is truly a unique dining experience like no other that you'll have anywhere else on the beach.
I appreciate it.
And that's a guarantee. So I appreciate you, again, giving me this time today.
Justin, you're a great man. We speak the same language. We're just good old country boys.
Amen.
That's
Amen.
right.
Well, I appreciate you again, Chef. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
When it comes to general maintenance or major modifications on your diesel vehicle, look no further than Juan Cheese Off-Road Diesel Performance in Kill Devil Hills. Master mechanic Ryan Walker developed the plan for having his own auto shop over 20 years ago, and today he owns the premium diesel performance powerhouse of the Outer Banks. To have him and his crew take a look under your hood, give him a call today at 252-715-0025 or find him on social media. Juan Cheese Off-Road Diesel Performance, the diesel performance powerhouse of the Outer Banks. Real. That's the first word that comes to mind when I think about Outland Seafood in Mans Harbor. Yeah, they're the first and last place you see coming to and leaving the Outer Banks on Highway 64 in Dare County, but they're also real when it comes to fresh local seafood. Troy Outland, real. Curtis and Josh, real. The Indoor Crab Shedders, real. Stop by and see for yourself right next to White Shopping Center and check them out on social media. Outland Seafood in Mans Harbor. Real. Oh, yeah, there's no better word out there than real to describe the folks over at Outland Seafood, and the real fresh seafood that they have at Outland Seafood is one of my favorite people to talk to, because he is just as real as they come, is Troy Outland. Troy tells you like it is and like what he thinks it is. I had a conversation with him one time, and he said something to me, and it was just him being real. I didn't take it personally. It was just him being real, and it's like, okay, that's his real, and that's what you're going to get at Outland Seafood. Friendly customer service, but real. It's legit. What you're going to get is the realest of the real at Outland Seafood, so keep that in mind. We're going to jump into some events real quick, and these events can all be found online at OuterBanksThisWeek.com. All right, Vusic OBX Concert Spotlight. We got Sublime with Rome. It's their farewell tour coming up on Thursday, August 29th. Gates are going to open at 5. Show is going to start at 6. Tickets are $45. It's a rain or shine event. You need to hurry up and get these tickets because they will likely sell out. Again, August 29th, Thursday, August 29th. Gates at 5, shows at 6. Tickets $45, rain or shine. Looking down the road a little bit, one that I'm really excited about is Jamie Johnson on Saturday, September the 7th. You want to get that ticket soon, too. Jamie Johnson, Saturday, September 7th at Roanoke Island Festival Park. We've got so many different things going on. I'm just going to skim through it real quick. Like, of course, the Lost Colony Outdoor Drama still taking place every evening, except for Sundays. You can get those tickets online at thelostcolony.org. Trivia nights, live music, karaoke, all over the beach. You got jazz nights going on at Owen's Restaurant. You've got mug night over at Jolly Rogers. You've got different things, the trivia at Lost Colony Waterfront Beer Garden on, is that Friday nights? Yes, Friday nights. There's so many different things that are taking place. Or is that Monday nights? I can't remember. It's one of them. Go see Dirt. He'll tell you over at Lost Colony Beer Garden. New Vines, Buffalo City Distillery. Again, the list goes on and on. There's so many different things taking place up and down the beach live music-wise. We have them all online at OuterBanksThisWeek.com. Just click on the events tab, and bada bing, bada boom, you're there. The different markets going on in Manio and the Tri-Village Market in Rodanthe. Brunch at Cafe Pamela Code Daily. Oh, just a couple noteworthy events that are coming up this weekend. Like my buddies Tim and Woody are going to be playing at Bass Nights Lone Cedar this coming Friday, the 23rd, starting at 6. There's going to be dance night with DJ Styles at Outer Banks Brewing Station in Kildare Hills going on the 24th this Saturday at 10:30 at night. And the Kind Cocktails, let me mention this. That date got moved. So the Kind Cocktails Barbecue Showdown is going on now on Sunday, September 8th. It was going to be this coming weekend, but it's now Sunday, September the 8th at 2 o'clock. In downtown Manio. You can go to kindcocktails.com for more details. And a little further down the road, the 15th annual Duck Jazz Festival is happening Saturday and Sunday, October 12th and 13th. And you can go online to townofduck.com to get more information on that. Going to take a quick break, then we're going to wrap this thing up. But first, a word from our friends at the Harbor Star Dolphin Tours.
What could possibly be more fun than watching a bottlenose dolphin swim and play in the water right beside you? Hop aboard Harbor Star Dolphin Tours at Wanchese Marina and witness this remarkable animal up close. The Harbor Star is a spacious 50-foot vessel with a wide, shady canopy that runs 2-hour trips multiple times a day, including a breathtaking sunset cruise. To book your tour, go online to wanchesemarina.com and click Harbor Star Dolphin Tours. See the majestic bottlenose dolphin up close with Harbor Star Dolphin Tours.
All right. I don't think I forgot anything. I really hope you all tell me if I do. If I forgot something, let me know. Podcast at OuterBanksThisWeek.com. I want to thank Wes Stepp again for allowing me to go up to NC Coast and hang out with him and do an interview. What a lot of fun. What a great story he has. What a lot of things, all the different things he's got going on. Such a fun guy. Guarantee if you go to NC Coast or Red Sky Cafe, you're not going to be disappointed. He is a complete dining experience when you go to those places for sure. Next week, I get to go to Outer Banks Sports Club and set up shop and hang out with Manny. There we go. Get to hang out with Manny and the fit folks over at the Outer Banks Sports Club. And that's where Matty P is going to be joining me. Matty P has lost over 100 pounds and counting since going to the sports club. Matty P is an inspiration, and Matty P is going to tell his story on his weight loss journey next week on the podcast, okay? You heard him do an After Dark segment about going to the gym after dark? Well, Matty P is a gym freak, all right? And we're going to talk to him about some of what he does, along with some other folks over at the sports club. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Outer Banks This Week podcast, all brought to you by Kelly's Automotive in Manio. If it has doors, it can be yours. Visit them online at kellysobxauto.com. I'm out of here. And as I like to say, in the words of the late, great Freestyle Bob, later.
This has been another radical edition of the Outer Banks This Week podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe, follow us on social media, and listen every Thursday for a new episode.